everyone. Hello, Mr. Coolness and Leaky and Scarface. Is my bot being slow? Bot was working. Internet is being slow. That's weird. Alright, hang on. Let me just go kick the bot. For some reason the bot disconnected from Twitch. Let me see if I can replay those. Or at least replay Scarface's. It's cute. Twitch is obviously having issues. I don't mind my data redeem not being, you know, done, but okay. Yeah, not quite sure what's going on there. See if I can see if it's coming. It's showing up as they're all showing up as queued, which is weird. I can't replay it. So of course it works for Ulkesh. That's great. It's just not worked for Scarface. That is really weird. Something's going wonky with Twitch. That's always a good start. I will give you the credit. I will make a note that the bot was that Twitch was being weird and that you have an extra one. Scarface, don't worry. I'll make a note so you will not lose out on your progress. Hi, Alkesh. And I'll see if I can replay that one later when Twitch decides it's not going to have a bit of a hissy fit. Anyway, beside the point. Hi, everyone. It is Saturday. How it got to the weekend again, I don't know. Yeah, redeems are being weird, so maybe hold off for a little bit. Anyone else? Just because I'm not quite sure what Twitch is playing at. Today we're going to be doing a double Joe case, starting off with the Fine Art of Murder, which apparently doesn't exist on IGDB. I can't find it. I can't find anything about this game, except what is on True Achievements. So all I can tell you is that it's published and developed by Infinite Zone. It came out on the 6th of November 2024. It's an unedited Xbox game. Thank you to unedited Xbox for the code for this one. Price-wise, it's $2.99, £2.49. So quite a small one, with a quickish completion estimate. That's why we've got a couple of games queued up for today. After receiving a cryptic message from a distant relative just before his death, you're pulled into a chilling investigation that leads you down a dark and twisted path. Step into a world where you control the unfolding narrative in the supernatural murder mystery, inspired by the timeless gamebooks of the past. You choose your own adventure then. In this reimagined interactive adventure, every choice you make shifts the story's direction, leading to a variety of surprising and unpredictable endings. Delve deep into a haunting, fog-laden town as you uncover its sinister history, piecing together clues that keep you on edge at every turn. Ooh, we can unlock hidden story moments, which are key revelations that can be only uncovered by making the right choices. They help us solve the mystery and lead us closer to the truth. Cool. Sounds fun. Anyway, so there are 12 achievements, all of which are obtainable, not tagged, so I'm not entirely sure, you know, what we're doing on there. So, what on earth is going on today with Twitch alerts? Anyway, let me load up the game and switch over to me. Ooh, readjust my mic. Yeah. That is annoying. Anyway, because bots are annoying and games are at stake, I will make sure that anyone that doesn't get has a little note, and we'll see if we can replay them when Twitch gets its acting gear.
To enable voice guidance, press the A button now.
I appreciate that, but I do not want to enable voice guidance. Also, hi Sir Khalid. Use up and down directional buttons to select a choice. A button to activate. So let's go to the table of contents. It's literally in a book. Oh my god. All right, I'm in love with this already. Okay. Yeah. So at the moment, it has all of the redeems are queued. It doesn't usually has that. It usually lets me play them. So I always try and fix that at the end of the stream as we go along. But for now, settings, about, story moments, and the fine art of murder. Okay, so let's go with settings. Music on, sound on, story narration on, story narration speed 2 out of 3. Voice guidance off, vibration on, view zoom, table of contents. Okay. About. Copyright Infinite Zone, that I couldn't find anything about except for some company that has a similar name but also was definitely not the company I was looking for. Based on the fine art of murder by Victoria Hancock, which was the only thing I could find on this, and I was like, I am confused. I am very confused. But at least that now explains it. I just couldn't find anything on the game, including, like, you know, an IMDb page. So yes, there's also Catherine Sullivan mystery, which is possibly Victoria Hancock's? No, that's Emily Barnes. There are many things called The Fine Art of Murder. Right, let's find The Fine Art of Murder, Victoria Hancock's, just so we can close the loop on this one. Oh, okay. That does not also give us anything. Maybe it was a choose your own adventure. Ah! Maybe it was a choose your own adventure in the past. But it's not showing up now. So, it's going to be a mystery. We're going to play the game anyway. We're going to play the game anyway. Right. Table of contents again, and then story moments. You've encountered 0 out of 12 story moments. And let's go into the story. Okay.
The fine art of murder. You arrive at the solicitor's office, full of nervous anticipation. All you know is that you've inherited something from your late great-uncle, Xavier. Deep down, you are hoping for property, but instead you are presented with a first edition of The Picture of Dorian Gray and a postcard print of an oil painting. Not just any painting, but one of Xavier's. He was a famous artist, after all. It's a portrait of an angry man, possibly Xavier himself, but as he had been an identical triplet, it could equally have been either of his two brothers, Yardley and Zachary, dead and missing, respectively.
Okay. As much as I like that there is narration, that is going to drive me nuts. So, music on, sound on, story narration off. I'm sorry. We're going to narrate this ourselves. The fine art of murder. Alright, so. We've arrived at the... I'm going to check the postcard. You turn over the postcard to see a lengthy and seeming random list of numbers. With a breathless excitement, you immediately jump to the conclusion that it's a code. Hey, Isabel! However, it takes considerably longer to actually decipher it. 1 month later, and after realizing the book wasn't simply a gift, it's part of the cipher. Ah, it's a book cipher! No, Mr. Corners, 100% for an accessibility thing? That is great. Even if I had turned it up to 3, it was still reading too slow for me. My brain has got the zoomies, so I need to be in control of the narration. But 100%, it is great that that exists. Great that that exists, and Honestly, if I was playing this off stream, I'd probably have it on turned up so I could, do other things and play the game at the same time. But yes, book cipher. Right. Okay, so you decode the numbers. The message L2 31 L17 is revealed. After many sleepless nights and endless research into what it means, you eventually decide that it's either location, date, and lot number in an art auction, or it's the direction to a particular painting in the National Art Gallery. Do the auction. After a long drive to L7, ooh, we got an achievement. Bleep bloop. There doesn't appear to be any music now. I've turned that off, but never mind. After a long drive to L7, you arrive in Merseyside and the quaint seaside suburbia that is St. Michael's Hamlet. The date is the 31st, and this is your first ever auction. To be honest, you're finding it to be a bit nerve-wracking. All the other people are intimidatingly confident and rich. But when you see lot number 2, you know you made the right decision. It's the second part of the Bolt triptych. At first, you thought it was the same as the one depicted on the postcard, but when you compare the two, you notice certain differences. A snide smile on this one, but a tense, gritted jawline on the other. A red velvet chair in the postcard print, but faded brown upholstery in this auction piece. The bidding's about to start, so you rush to get a seat, but the place is packed out and there are only a few chairs left. One is adjacent to a woman wearing huge sunglasses and texting maniacally on a phone, and the other is next to an elderly gentleman in a funereal suit who is silently surveying the crowd. Who do you sit next to? Oh, you've encountered a new story moment. Art auction. The elderly man in the suits. For now, we're picking the left options. The man regards you with a dismissive glance, but when you ask him if he knows anything about lot number 2, he smiles, eager to show off his knowledge. But of course, it's Yardley Bolt's piece in the infamous triptych, and the subject is presumed to be Zachary. He was an arrogant man, a businessman, and successful in his own right, but not creative. It was said deep down he was jealous of his brother's art, so he stirred things up between them. The man leaned back in his chair. The auction was about to start, and then whispered, "He definitely knew which buttons to press." The bid comes in, and Yardley's Bolt portrait in oil is eventually sold for a tidy sum of money. The winner is a surprisingly young and scruffy-looking man who seems like he'd be more at home in a tech startup rather than acquiring art, but looks can be deceiving, you suppose. He leaves immediately following his successful bid. We're going to follow him out to the car park, because that's not creepy at all. To avoid looking like a deranged stalker, you introduce yourself as being related to the Bolt brothers, and it works. He's more than happy to talk to you. "So, what's the family's take on Zachary's disappearance?" he asked. "Just mental health issues," you say, with a shrug. "He had a breakdown, I think, but the family brushed it under the carpet. To be honest, it wasn't really spoken of. I think the family was ashamed, back in those days." The winner looks disappointed by your lack of juicy insider tips, but he shows you a series of numbers. So yes, anyway, happy Saturday. Dear, happy weekend. How the heck did it be the weekend already? Hopefully, you're doing okay. How is everyone? What's everyone up to? Leaky, I'm assuming you got home safe. Because you're in the stream at the beginning. My actions are still queued. Alright, if they stop being queued at some point and I can replay them, I will. Because otherwise my numbers are going to be out of sync. I don't like that. I don't like it when bot doesn't cooperate. And unfortunately, actions don't go through. Anyway, I'm not going to get distracted by that. Going to leave it. Alright, they're printed on the frame. Do you have any idea what they mean? You study them and adopt a vague expression. Hopefully you think that you're trying to recall something, but really you're memorizing the sequence. Finally you tell them you haven't a clue and then go home. Later you return again to the picture of Dorian Gray and use the numbers to decode another message. It's an address and a 4-digit pin. Without any further ado, you head to the Bolt family home. This is just really clever. Because it's like a visual novel, choose your own adventure type thing, but it's so clearly the book. And it's just a really clever way of implementing this whole, go to page whatever. I'm really into this aesthetic. So yeah. Standing outside the tall wrought iron gates, you briefly daydream about the solicitor telling you that this house was your inheritance. instead of a book. It is a 6-bedroom Georgian house. Hey, Billies! In 2 acres of land, and since Xavier Bolt is now dead, is presumably unoccupied. You ring the buzzer to make sure, and when there is no reply, enter the 4 digits into the keypad. The gates sweep open, and then you're in the grounds. Without any prying eyes to call the police, you take your time scouting the property and eventually find an unlocked window that you ease open. I thought this was your inheritance, so if the police come, it's like, it's my house, I just didn't get the keys? I don't know. Once in the main hallway. Is there actually music? There is, it's just very quiet. Hang on, let me bash up the Xbox thing. There we go. So there now should be some, you know, less silent background music. Okay, there's a limited amount of music. But anyway, it should be at least audible now. Once in the main hallway, you pause to light the nearby candles, rather than attract attention by switching on the lights. Then study the family portrait hanging in pride of place. The 3 identical brothers and their sister Wendy, a pale woman with a barely disguised expression of contempt. But as good as that painting is, you're sure it's not as valuable as the missing 3rd piece of the triptych. And you're convinced that the coders are clues to its whereabouts. It must be here somewhere, but where? Which room would you like to search first? Well, I know we were just going with the top option, but I just want to go to the library first. Naturally, the library, with its oak panelling and floor-to-ceiling shelves, is home to a multitude of serious-looking hardbacks. Not like the stack of pulp fiction you have at home. You do a cursory glance around, but you quickly realise you need to focus your efforts. Maybe searching a particular author will pay dividends. Which author do you want to search for? Poe, Wilde, or Shelley? I'm going to go with Oscar Wilde, because I can't remember who wrote The Portrait of Dorian Gray. It may have been Oscar Wilde. I know for a fact it wasn't Mary Shelley or Edgar Allan Poe. So, there we go. Agnes's fireplace. You found a note about the fireplace. I may have forgotten to, hydrate today. I have a headache. It's cold, and that's just causing my head to... Anyway, I'm just going to poke my head for a little bit on here. You pull the ladder across the W section, and once you've climbed up, you see there's a gap in which the Portrait of Dorian Gray, there we go, used to stand. But the gap now has something in it. Something else in it. With a tremor of excitement, you reach in and extract the fragment of paper. It has to be the next clue. It only has 2 words on it. Agnes's fireplace. But surely this is a crucial find. You pocket the note and then exit the library. You're on a roll. So, where do you want to search next? The kitchen. Walking with a ghost. Ooh, you've met someone from beyond. Well, because the sister was not called Agnes. We've not heard that, so it may be like the cook. The kitchen is a huge old-fashioned room dominated by a long table in the middle and a gigantic stove at the far end. You walk slowly, footsteps sounding loud on the stone floor, but before you reach the large sink, the tap starts to turn. With a painful creak, yellow-brown water trickles out, then becomes a torrent. It's just an old house. The plumbing is just broken, that's all. You mutter to yourself as your fingers make contact with the tap. Suddenly, every drawer in the kitchen clatters open, then slams shut again. You scream, spin around and press both hands against your mouth. You are horror-struck and petrified. But the kitchen is empty, and then you realise that it isn't. Standing next to the stove is a woman. She has her back towards you, and there is an icy grip around your stomach. You really don't want it to turn round. You really don't want to see her face. However, when she does turn, you see that it is the Bolt sister. The women in the portrait in the hallway. But Wendy's been dead for 20 years, you whisper. She couldn't have heard, but nevertheless she nods. But it's never too late, she replies. Since my death, I've asked myself many questions. How could one brother do that to the other? How could I have helped him get away with it? Who was I protecting? She shrugs and looks mournfully at you. It is time for justice. You will find the evidence in the pond, but it will have sunk to the bottom. Find it, please, and then you will know the truth. Maybe the truth will free me, free us all. And in front of your eyes, she disappears into a fine mist which swirls and dissolves into a fine mist which swirls and disappears. For us all, you repeat? How many ghosts are there here? On still trembling legs, you leave the kitchen and are relieved to find it hallway empty of spectres. However, before you can even think about your next move, you hear someone laughing outside. An arrogant, cruel laugh, and although part of your brain is saying, just get out of here, this is a bad idea. Oh, you've encountered a new story moment, walking with a ghost. Your feet run towards the back door, and whoever is finding this so funny. But of course, when you open the door and step into the cool, dusky evening, you are alone. Or so it would seem. However, in the distance, you spot something that an interloper could hide in. A mausoleum. You sigh in resignation. Naturally, a family of so much wealth with this amount of land would just have to have their own mausoleum, wouldn't they? And as you approach it, you spot that it's a small graveyard too. Oh, this is just great, you mumble sarcastically. There has been no further laughter or any other noise bar the screech of an owl. But you know you have to check this out. Explore the tombstones, try and enter the mausoleum. Let's just go with the tombstones for now. It seems no one has recently been buried here, though. Most epitaphs are worn away and covered with lichen, though you can still make out a few words. Born sleeping, beloved, 1897, and the clearest one reads, Agnes, loyal servant. As I said, probably the cook. Or the housekeeper or something. As morbidly interesting as that is, there are no further clues here, so what will you do now? Enter the mausoleum. With a painful creak, the heavy door finally opens and you step into the dim mausoleum. It's bone-chillingly cold and filled with tombs. In the fading light, you read 4 names and then gulp as you face up to a nightmarish prospect. Are you really going to open one of those tombs? If you draw the line at disturbing corpses, then you should leave the mausoleum. However, if you're currently thinking in for a penny, in for a pound, step in to poke around some of the corpses in here. We're going to stay among the corpses. Alright, but the question is, which corpse would you first like? Ooh. I accidentally hit a trig thing and it did it. Can I go back? Oh no. I can't literally go back. Okay. So, which one would you like to... Apparently, we picked Yardley's. I don't know what the options were, because yes. Apparently it would be Yardley, Xavier, Wendy, and Clarissa. Who the heck Clarissa is, I don't know. Despite your best effort levering yourself against the other tombs and pushing with all your might, Yardley's lid remains securely in place. With a curse and a slam of your fist on the stone, you give up and look around. What's my next step? Xavier? Okay. But as soon as it opens, you regret this decision. Xavier hasn't been dead that long, so the sickly scent of decay erupts from within and fills your nostrils. Once you've stopped retching, you take a closer look. Alright, Xavier is bloated with dark, mottled green skin, but what is more unusual is the fact he's been positioned with his arm and fingers bent, so that he's pointing at the top of the tomb. There must be a reason for this. You figure, and you're right. With a bit of prodding and poking, the entire end of the tomb swings open to reveal a hidden passageway. You could squeeze past Xavier's reeking corpse and into the narrow sloping corridor, but if you'd rather close this tomb up, then you can check out the other tombs. Exhume Clarissa? It's a bit of effort. Eventually, the heavy stone edges the side, allowing you to peek inside, but when you do, it's not what you were expecting. Clarissa is now just skeletal remains wrapped in the remnants of the blue dress she was entombed in, but the shocking thing is that she is not alone. Nestled at her side lies another skeleton. This one is presumably a man, is dressed in what must have been a very fine suit, and despite the dirt and mould, you can still see a brown stain of old dried blood on the shirt collar. It looks like this poor body was dumped in with poor Aunt Clarissa, but who did it? How did they die? And just as you ponder this mystery, there's a distinct cough directly behind you. You scream, but it is a strangled sound as absolute fear constricts your throat. Standing there is a man, one of the Bolt triplets, with a paintbrush protruding from his eye. He nods in acknowledgement, making the wooden handle waggle up and down in the eye socket. You feel sick as you watch the blood ooze from the wound and then trickle down his cheek and soak into the shirt collar. That's you! The body in the tomb! Got it in one. Zachary Bolt in the flesh, or not, as the case may be. With his own joke, he tries to wink, but the paintbrush gets in the way. Dash that thing. Still, I had been winding old Yardley up, sitting for a portrait is terminally dull. So I had to liven things up a bit. Yardley was always so easy to tease. I just had to mention Xavier's latest exhibition, and poor old Yard would blow a gasket. Yardley murdered you with a paintbrush. You're in one of the triptych portraits. Yes, and yes. Cheeky blighter painted the red velvet cushion in my actual blood. Can you believe it? And then left the paintbrush, the murder weapon no less, in plain sight. Plain sight. I'll tell the police that you're here. You can be properly buried and can have justice, unless you want to protect him. Dash that scoundrel. Brother or not, the truth must out. After that vehement proclamation, the ghost slowly fades and disappears. So now you know the final resting place of Zachary Bolt, although it would be useful if you could also find the murder weapon. Take the shirt collar. Found the bloodstained shirt collar. Take the bloodstained shirt collar as proof of this discovery, then replace the lid and are thinking about examining another of your ancestors' tomb when there is a sudden sickening noise, the scuttling of thousands of insects. Right on cue, they erupt from each and every crack. Ugh! A stream of black shiny beetles rushes across the floor, so with a terrified scream you burst out of the mausoleum and run away. After an impressive sprint, you reach an oak tree and realize they haven't followed you. Nevertheless, it takes a while for your heartbeat to return to normal. You're just glad that no one saw that embarrassing display. There's nowhere you're going back. Oh, there was a secret passage. But we found, a story moment. And we can always replay. You head around the side of the house. Around the side of the house, you find the ornamental gardens complete with their own pond, and close by is a so-called orangery. Which would you like to explore now? The pond. The gardens have marble statues everywhere, and you're not sure, but you suspect they're moving when you're not looking. Feeling an ever-growing sense of doom, you rush on towards the pond. It looks and smells stagnant, but it's too cold for a dip. But maybe you can find something in it. How do you search the pond? By sticking your foot in it. 1 foot deep. You stuck your foot in the pond. Yes, silly sod. You dip a toe into the pond, wondering if there's anything into the surface, while wondering if there's anything you can actually do here. The slowly undulating algae ripples out from your foot, but then you notice more ripples forming over the pond. The water starts to rear up and down, the waves growing stronger with each crest. There's something about to emerge. You don't want to know the answer to that, and you definitely don't want to stay out here any longer. With an impressive sprint, you've encountered a new story moment. You hurtle back to the house. You've already explored the ground floor, so you climb up the stairs. The doors are ajar, and you can see that the master bedroom is nearby. Whereas further along the landing, there's a huge artist studio, and at the end is a drab small room, presumably the servants' quarters. Which room would you like to check out first? Agnes's, potentially. The bedroom is it's small and adorned and quite depressing. On the nearby chest of drawers, you spot a book, alias Grace, and a note is inscribed inside. Dearest Agnes, I thought of you. You're not sure if that is meant ironically or not, but this must be Agnes's room. The fireplace. At first you think this is a fool's errand. The triptych! Found the missing part. This rummaging about in a sooty and cobweb-draped fireplace, but finally you feel the edge of something hidden in a chimney recess. It's wrapped in layers and layers, but when you peel off the last one you gasp. Portrait! It's the missing part of the triptych, signed by Yardley Bolt as a masterpiece of charcoal work. The black lines are expertly smudged or defined, and although it is one of the brothers, it's not clear which one. That said, it does have a rather arrogant sneer on its face. You grasp the canvas, trembling with excitement. But then your flesh crawls, as an icy breath gently strokes your neck. You turn slowly, sensing the figure close behind, and then hear its cruel laugh. It is a young woman in a white nightgown, but her eyes are piercing yellow and her teeth are unnaturally long and jagged. The laugh becomes a snarl, her lips pulling back, the unmistakable sign of an imminent attack, and you stutter, Agnes! The ghost freezes, a frown crinkling up its forehead. It seems to be thinking about that. Does it not know it is anymore? And in that split second of spectral indecision, you make a run for it. You are halfway down the landing when you realise it hasn't followed. In fact, you're pretty sure that it's gone completely, although you're not risking it. So, which room will you search next? The artist studio. We're looking for the brush. The space is exactly how you imagined an artist studio to look, cluttered with various painting paraphernalia. It might make your search more efficient if you knew what you're searching for. Information that Zachary's ghost told me. Well, Zachary did make it clear that the murder weapon... I found the paintbrush. Make it clear that the murder weapon, the paintbrush stabbed through his eye, was hidden in plain sight, so that's where you go first. And there it is, standing in a pot with the others, the only difference being the brown-red stain soaked into the sharp wooden handle. Certain that the police should be able to get Zachary's DNA from it, you pocket the paintbrush. This and the actual corpse should clear up the entire mystery of his sudden disappearance all those years ago. Feeling pleased with your progress so far, you exit the studio and there's only one room left to check. You head towards the master bedroom. You step into the bedroom only to find that you're not alone. An old man is sitting on the bed, an old man who is familiar, and so he should be. He's your recent deceased great-uncle Xavier. Through the wrinkles and sagging jowls, you can see the younger man portrayed downstairs in the hall and, of course, in the triptych pieces. He regards you with an arrogant sneer. Do you have any idea of the lengths I went? All to protect a family name. A reputation is everything, he bellows. You try to swallow, but can't, and the ghost continues. I got rid of Zachary's body and made it look like he'd gone away on business. I made Wendy back up my tales of Yardley's illness, although we all knew it was Zachary who'd left arsenic-soaked charcoal for him, knowing of his strange and repulsive habit of licking his fingers while smudging the black lines. It was slow, and it worked. And Zachary was right. The price of Yardley's mediocre art did rocket after his demise. I even got rid of the servant and my unwanted child. Nasty work, though someone had to do it. I thought I should come clean on my deathbed, that's why I left you the clues, but I've changed my mind. The Bolt's good name must live on. Over my dead body, are you going to expose anything? It's an expressive speech, and if a live human had made such threats, you might have been scared. However, the transparent phantom tries to grab you by the neck, but his hand merely goes through your flesh. Sir, it says, confusion now flooding over its face, but there's absolutely nothing it can do. You don't need a second chance. You run out of the bedroom straight away. There is a terrible bellowing as Xavier tries to follow and realizes he's trapped in the bedroom for all purgatory. But before you can get all smug about beating the ghost, the thick, choking air fills your lungs. The house is on fire! And as though a multitude of angry spectres were chasing you, you sprint down the stairs towards the front door. But you still have time to notice the knocked-over candle. Blast, I knew I shouldn't have, but regrets will have to wait. Someone has already phoned the emergency services and both police officers and firefighters are arriving. What are you going to say? Though, you found the shirt collar and paintbrush. You take the police to the mausoleum and shove open Clarissa's tomb once more. DNA tests eventually prove your claim, namely that this is Zachary Bolt. You also give them the paintbrush with its blood-stained handle, explaining how you found it in the artist's studio. It will be conclusively proved that it is Zachary's blood, and once the auctioned painting is examined too, the gruesome discovery is made. Yardley painted the red velvet blood cushion in Zachary's blood. Although charges cannot be brought, Yardley is named as the only suspect in his brother's murder. Next. Oh, you found nothing in the pond. Oh well. Poor Yardley's cause of death is going to remain natural causes, then no justice for him. Hey, Subterfuge. I found the missing part of the triptych. You do mull over the rights and wrongs, but in the end you simply hide the triptych under your coat and walk off with it. You are a member of the Bolt family, and great Uncle Xavier did bequeath the code and book to you. That's going to be your story anyway. Hey, Ivor! The portrait, the missing third of the triptych, sells for a considerable fortune, making you wealthy beyond your dreams. Let's just hope that no one decides to lick it, though. Conclusion. You did your best to unravel the mystery, but something's still missing. If only there was a way to go back and take another look. Table of contents. Alright, so we've got 8 out of 12 story moments. Art auction, Agnes's fireplace, etc. So, let's have another go to see if we can find these other 4 moments. So, we're not going to read out the stuff we've already read. Let's try doing the opposite things, even though we know the gallery. Okay, with your footsteps echoing in the hushed halls of the National Gallery, you head to level 2, room 31, and then find the 17th painting on the left. It is to your uninitiated eyes a drab portrait of a woman by an artist you've never heard of. Still, the woman in the painting is presumably drab because she's in mourning. The painting is called Clarissa at the Crypt. You memorize the name and then decide that as you've already paid the entrance fee, you may as well make the most of it. You could hire the handheld device with headphones to accompany you around the gallery, or show the postcard print of Xavier's portrait to the nearest gallery guard. I'm going to hire the handheld device. It's all going swimmingly and you're certainly learning a lot about art from the melodious voice in the headphones, and then you approach Van Gogh's Sunflowers. The voice deepens to a demonic growl that bellows, "I will paint with your blood!" With a shriek that makes the other visitors tut, you snatch off the headphones and throw them to the floor. Once the adrenaline subsided, you wonder if you did actually hear that, but there's no way that you're putting the headphones back on. Suddenly a gallery guide is back at your side, inquiring if everything is okay. What do you ask the guide? Whether the talk includes the words, "I will paint with your blood." No doubt. The The guide is used to hearing some strange comments from the visitors, but your description of the demonic voice is plainly making her nervous. But before she calls security to have you escorted out, she has a flash of recognition. Oh, that sounds like the rumours surrounding Xavier Bolt's work. Your poker face isn't the greatest, but you still manage to disguise your shock. Your great-uncle has something to do with the painting in blood. With painting in blood. The guide continues, saving we have one part of the infamous triptych here, but I can't remember if he said he'd paint his brother's blood, in his brother's blood, or his brother Yardley, who was also an artist, said it to him. Or was it the third one? It's the most detailed information you could get, but at least she directs you to where the original painting is kept. You set off so that you can view the original Xavier Bolt painting. And there it is. You're no art lover, though, so you're decidedly unimpressed by the real painting, but before you shrug your shoulders and stomp away, a thought pops into your head. What if there's another clue here? You can't grab the artwork and examine it thoroughly, but is there another way of scrutinizing it? Get as close, stand to the side. Although the attending guide is alarmed by your eccentric viewing, he merely edges closer, clearly not wanting to create a scene. This gives you time to study the portrait. However, the only odd thing that you notice is, "Can I help you?" "Oh, yes. Do you see these words?" you ask and point. The guide smiles, impressed with your observation skills, it would seem. "Well done. Most people can't see that, even if they've been told what to look for." That surprises you. Now that you've seen the word talentless scrawled within the texture of the oil strokes, you can't unsee it. "Yes, it's clever," the guide continues. "The way the light catches it at a certain angle. Presumably it's the artist Xavier Bolt's opinion of the subject, who is most certainly his brother Yardley. Sibling rivalry can be bad at the best of times, but throw in professional jealousy into the mix, and you have a recipe for disaster." You nod in what you hope is a knowledgeable fashion, but this isn't really helping your search for clues. The guide finishes by remarking, "By all accounts, Xavier was an arrogant fellow, quite condescending of Yardley's work, but what isn't known is the meaning of these numbers here on the side of the frame. Now, if you could just step away from the painting," luckily he had mentioned that, you hadn't spotted the numbers, "you quickly memorize them as you are gently but insistently moved on." Later you return to the picture of Dorian Gray and use the numbers to decode another message. It's an address and a 4-digit pin. Without any further ado, we head to the house. So, it apparently doesn't matter which way you go. So there we go. We did that one already. We did that there. So let's check the living room this time. Although there are 2 large sofas, they're designed for grandeur rather than comfort, and there isn't even a television. You spot some family photographs on the highly polished sideboard, but your prize find comes from rooting around in the drawers. It's a letter from Zachary to Xavier. "We all know his talent isn't a patch on yours, but he will insist on trying to compete. The sad truth is that the only way to make money from his mediocre canvases is if he were to die. The bump in value that pity brings will be enormous if you catch my drift." He wants in sympathy for the insulted brother, Yardley. Ouch, that had to hurt. Although there's no denying the truth behind it. Still, it was a hard-hearted sentiment from your identical triplet. But more importantly, did they go beyond this speculation? You know that Yardley died after an illness. Cancer, if you remember correctly. But what if there was more to it? Put the letter back where you found it and then leave the living room. Which room do you want to search next? We'll just do the kitchen. Continue. But Wendy's been dead for 20 years. Alright. Mausoleum. Staying around the corpses. Don't hit the thing this time. Alright, which corpse would you like to first disturb? We did Xavier accidentally. Let's check Wendy's. Stone lid shifts surprisingly easily, although you're prepared for the sight. Wendy's eyeless skull is quite a shocker. The skeleton is yellowed with patches of dried, taut, leathery flesh still wrapped around the bones in places. However, the splintered hole in the back of her head is the big shock. Is that a bullet wound? If so, was she murdered or was it self-inflicted? Feeling slightly guilty at your ghoulish behaviour, you close the lid and can now stay to continue your macabre exploration of the dead bodies, but if this is all too much, you can leave the mausoleum. Okay, so we disturbed Xavier and then we got insected. We disturbed Xavier and I went, no. We then disturbed Yardley. We definitely don't want to open Clarissa's at this point. I think Yardley had the... Oh, no. Okay. Right, that's okay. Xavier, that's where the secret passage is. I want to enter the secret passageway. We didn't do that last time. Okay. It's dank, cold and dark, and you are definitely descending deeper and deeper underground, but you concentrate on taking one step after another until you finally reach a door. With a heartfelt gasp of relief, it opens and you enter a cellar. The passageway has brought you back to the house. Your first thought is there must be something useful down here, but all you can find is a fishing net. And to make matters worse, the connecting door into the kitchen is locked, so you have no choice but to take the exit door. Once again, you are back outside, but close by is the so-called orangery and the ornamental garden of the pond. Let's have a look at the orangery. It's just a posh conservatory, you grumble. But as you close the orangery door, the plants start to shake and shimmy. It sounds like a fierce wind is blowing through their leaves, but you can feel nothing. Abruptly, everything goes still, and an agonized groan comes from a large rubber tree. The man who staggers out from behind the foliage looks familiar, but this bold brother is not at its best. His features are thin and pinched, his skin a waxy grey-green, and vomit dribbles down his chin. He smashes the transparent fist down on a plant pot, but it only makes a slight shudder, and this impotence infuriates him even more. This is revenge from beyond the grave. My own brother poisoned me with arsenic. At least death was swift for Zachary. This is a never-ending torture, he bellows. Well, it's end, though, doesn't it? I mean, but your voice fades away as you realise that telling a ghost he's dead is probably not the most tactful thing. However, the phantom is not paying any attention. He's too busy dragging an easel forward, and in frenzy starts drawing on the canvas. It must be charcoal because he swipes a black stick across, then licks his fingers to smudge it in an artful fashion. This might be impressive, except his fingers, mouth and tongue are stained black, and it's all mixing quite disgustingly with the vomit. You creep forward to view his work, but see that as soon as he draws anything, the charcoal disappears, leaving a pure wet canvas. He really is trapped in limbo. The ghost then fades away, with the last thing being an awful slurp as he sucks on his thumb once more. You leave the orangery. Let's go to the pond and search it with a fishing net. And there we go. Bag of evidence. This is a stupid idea, you tell yourself. After all, the chances of you actually finding anything in the thick mud at the bottom of the pond are minuscule. So no one is more surprised than you when the net snags on something. You drag it up to the surface, and at first you can't understand what was so important about this haul, a sealed bag containing a bunch of used charcoal sticks and a dead rat skeleton. But then you notice it, the odd blackened stain on the rat's incisors. Someone had fed the charcoal to the rat, and you know that the charcoal itself is used in hospitals, so that can't have harmed the rat. The realization hits you like a sledgehammer. Charcoal is porous, the sticks are full of a poison, and if someone got the charcoal on their fingers and then licked them, they would have absorbed the poison. Poor Yardley. Everyone thought he'd had stomach cancer, but really he was slowly being murdered. This bag is evidence of a crime which might be decades old, but Yardley deserves to have his killer unmasked. We head back into the house. That's the bedroom. Okay. Servant. And then I found no evidence. Poor Zachary's fate will be left undiscovered. I found the evidence in the pond. Soggy bag with a dead rat and charcoal sticks in and out. There's evidence of Yardley Bolt's murder. One of the officer mumbles about that being a long illness, but tests reveal that the charcoal is saturated with a lethal amount of arsenic. Eventually, Yardley's corpse is exhumed. The verdict is murder. The amount of arsenic found in the remaining hair follicles shows that he was being slowly poisoned for a long time. You've given justice to Yardley. You didn't find the missing part of the triptych. Unbeknownst to you, the triptych was in the house and presumably still is. Whether it was damaged in the fire or not, you'll never know. Never mind, you've still got the picture of Dorian Gray. You did your best to unravel the mystery, but something's still missing. Then there's a way to go back and have another look. 10 moments. Okay. And 10 achievements. Okay, so check the postcard. Either which way, but the gallery had some more stuff. Show the print. Okay. She peers at the postcard and then nods knowledgeable. Yes, that's Xavier Bolt's work. One part of the famous triptych. Why is it the infamous triptych? Why is it infamous? Because it's incomplete. We have one here, the portrait done by Xavier, the one painted by his brother Yardley is on the open market, and the third is unknown of. It's not even clear if it exists, never mind where it is. If that was ever found... she doesn't finish the sentence, but it simply lets out a low whistle. It sounds like it would make someone very rich indeed. However, that's all she knows about, so she directs you to where the original painting hangs. You set off so you can view the original part. Get as close as you can. Although the attending guide is alarmed how close you are, he merely edges towards you, not wanting to create a scene. This gives you time to study the portrait. However, the only odd thing you notice is... Can I help you? Oh yes, do you see that? You ask and point, causing the guide to take a panic breath in as he thinks you're about to touch it. When your fingers merely hover over the oil paint, he relaxes again. Well spotted. Yes, the subject's blackened fingers and lips have been the source of many debates, but the consensus is the simplest. Although neither of the two known parts of the triptych have their subjects named, this is presumed to be Yardley Bolt, an artist in his own right. He preferred charcoal to oil and used to lick his fingers to smudge the charcoal. You nod in what you hope is a knowledgeable fashion, but this isn't really helping your search for clues. The guide finishes by remarking, by all accounts, Yardley had quite a temper on him. What isn't known is the meaning of these numbers. Then we did that already. Head to the Bolt home. We're going to check the library. And Oscar Wilde. I'm going to go to the kitchen. Okay, then the back door. Try to enter the mausoleum. Corpses. So maybe if we check Clarissa's first. Do we still get the bugs? Aha! Right, so we can do... I think it's if you open too many corpses then. So now if we exhume Xavier, we can enter the secret passageway. And then now if we go to the... Oh, we could do the orangery. To get that part. And then we go to the pond with a fishing net. Continue. Head back into the house. Go to the servants' quarters. The fireplace. Continue. Then the artist studio. Information at the ghost. Master bedroom. And he's going to yell. Run out of the bedroom and the house is on fire. Oh! No, but we went into the thing. We found the shirt collar and the paintbrush. Okay. You take the police to the mausoleum and shove open Clarissa's tomb once more. DNA tests eventually prove your claim, namely that this is Zachary Bolt. You also give them the paintbrush with its blood-stained handle, explaining how you found it in the artist's studio. We conclusively proved that it's Zachary's blood, and once the auction painting is examined too, blah 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 blah. And then you found the bag of evidence. Present the soggy bag of evidence with its dead rat. Justice for Yardley. We found the missing piece of the triptych, and we sell it and are rich beyond our means. You solved the murders, tidying up every loose end. In the process, you made yourself rich beyond your wildest dreams, turning their tragedy into your fortune. This truly was the greatest adventure you could have ever hoped for. Table of contents. But we still missed the story moment. So, we're going to have a quick peek. The black cat. Okay. Alright, so now... I'm just gonna see... Sign up for the auction. Woman wearing sunglasses. Okay. She gives you an undisguised look of irritation as you sit down, but then returns to her texting. However, when lot number 2 is presented, she puts the phone away and eyes the portrait eagerly. Seeing your interest, she leans towards you, all friendly now, and whispers, "It can't compete with Xavier's art. Yardley's best work was in charcoal. He was never seen without blackened fingers and lips from licking his fingers to smudge it. Genius." You nod encouragingly, despite thinking how disgusting that sounds, and then remark, "But this is oil, not charcoal. Why do you do that?" "To compete with his brother, of course. That's why this piece is so valuable. All the rage and jealousy that is on this canvas." And then she slyly smirks, not to mention the fact that owning this and the missing third would be beyond anyone's wildest dreams. The conversation ends abruptly. Tech man. Insider heads to the Bolt family. There we go. Kitchen triggers the thing. Living room? Library. Edgar Allan Poe. Aha! There we go. The Black Cat. There we go. You quickly find... the section and pull the Black Cat down from the shelf. In an instant, there's a bone-rattling bellow, and the sickly sweet stench of fresh vomit fills your nostrils. You retch and then run frantically for the door, but once you reach the hallway, this noise and smell disappear as quickly as they came. After that, though, there is no way you're going back inside the library. But before you can even think about your next move, you hear someone laughing outside, an arrogant, cruel laughing. And although your brain is saying, just get out of here, this is a bad idea. I got the Black Cat. So I think... I found no evidence. Found nothing in the pond. Didn't find the triptych. But I got 12 story moments. Discovered the secret of the library. Visited the auction. Oops. Did your best to unravel the mystery, but something is missing. There we go. So that is 100% everything. That was an interesting story. I really enjoyed that. I hope they do more. I would like to find out more about the, Infinite Zone, because there really wasn't any information on the internet about that, which, makes me sad. Okay, so, wow, that was less than an hour. So apparently, yeah, even less than an hour, even with everything else. What is going on with the Daily Chivo stuff? It seems it worked, except for me and Scarabaeus, unfortunately, and it's queued. And I don't understand why it's queued. Anyway. It's not resolving itself at the moment. I will see if it'll sort itself out later. If not, Scarabaeus just gets a +1 because, it's not their fault. The stupid bot disconnected. Anyway, right, so that is 100% completion. I really enjoyed that. That was great. Remove that from promos. Genre voting is open. Shouldn't do my genre voting. But yeah, no, that was really good. And, okay, you can't go back, which I would inevitably do in Choose Your Own Adventure stuff. And obviously, the options were dynamic based on the choices you've made. However, that was easy enough to do, would be easy enough to do in a novel, because you just send people to different pages and keep track that way. But it's still a very clever... implementation for a video game. And an interesting way of doing, visual novel. Yeah. Okay. So, I'm going to have a quick break now because, well, get some hot tea. And then change games. I could still run an ad, even though there's pre-roll and stuff. It's still got 4 minutes left. It's just confusing because I didn't expect it to be as quick as the estimation when I was reading everything out, but I think I've been reading quite fast today. So what I'm going to do first, actually, before I end up deafening everybody, is turn down the Xbox audio. So what we're going to do is flip to the end screen. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just ending this bit of the video. And then I will run some ads and I will be back with the second game, and hoping I don't need a third. But I think this one should be slightly longer. Right, okay. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.